Good evening, everyone. Welcome to. I'm one of the e-guides here at Ad America. And Ad America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center here in Jakarta. And our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn more about the United States. Welcome to tonight's event, Reimagining Contemporary Dance. And if you are joined in tonight, if you like dancing and watching for you. And to kick off tonight's event, I would like to give you guys an icebreaker question. And the question is, true or false? Indonesia's Saman dance is not on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. I'll repeat the question one more time. True or false? Indonesia's Saman dance is not on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. You can answer this question on the comment section of our social media. And without further ado, I'll pass on to our moderator, who's also a great dancer, Felicia from Namarina Youth Dance. Please take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and young friends of Ad America. As introduced, my name is Felicia, and it is my honor to be tonight's host or moderator for a discussion titled Reimagining Contemporary Dance. For tonight's event, we will be joined by Adam McKinney and Irninta Dwitika. So, before we begin, I would like to start introducing each of them. So, at the age of 9, Irninta began her formal ballet and jazz training at the Namarina Dance Academy. And later, she joined Namarina Youth Dance in 2012. 3 years after that, Irninta moved to New York City to pursue her dance education by attending the independent study program at the Ailey School. She then continued to Trinity Laban Conservatoire of Dance in London, UK, and became a member of Transitions Dance Company. Now she is a teacher at Namarina Dance Academy and the Associate Artistic Director of Namarina Youth Dance. Next one, we have Adam McKinney. He is a former member of Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, Boujar Ballet Lucerne, Alonzo King's Lines Ballet, Cedar Lake Contemporary Ballet, and Milwaukee Ballet Company. He holds a BFA in dance performance with high honors from Butler University and an MA in dance studies with concentration in race and trauma theories from NYU Gelatin. McKinney is the co-director of DNA Works, an arts and service organization committed to healing through the arts and dialogue. He is currently an assistant professor of dance in the School of Classical and Contemporary Dance at Texas Christian University. So if you have any question pops in your mind when the three of us are discussing, please write it down in the comment section and we will do our best to answer it at the end of the discussion. So everybody, without further ado, let us welcome Irninta and Adam. Hello.
Hello, thank you for having me. Good morning, good evening.
Good morning for you, Adam. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm really excited to finally have this event happening. Yes, so to kick off the discussion, I will ask Adam the first question. The topic is reimagining contemporary dance. I think it would be useful for us and for the audience who's listening to firstly listen about the origin of contemporary dance. How did it form into what it is right now? So please, Adam.
Thank you, Felicia, and hello, everyone. I would first like to say thank you to the U.S. Embassy for having me and also for Namarina for continuing our relationship. As some of you know, I had the great honor and pleasure of working with Namarina Youth Dance at the invitation of Miss Maya. And I'm so pleased to continue this relationship in this conversation as supported by the U.S. Embassy. Contemporary forms of dance, and I'll speak specifically to the United States from where I come and where I reside, was developed as a departure from the rigidity, the hierarchy, and the structures of classical ballet. Dancers in particular and choreographers were interested in breaking those forms, breaking the rigidity and the boxed forms of classical ballet. We can look back to various companies who started that work. I'm thinking about the Ballet Russe de Monte Carlo, for example, that was a ballet company, but began to shift those structures from 1909 to 1929 in the United States, as started by Serge Diaghilev. This was a particular time in history when we think about the Cubist movement, and a visual artist from the Cubist movement is Picasso, for example, where we can think about how he changed forms via this Cubist movement. And so through modern dance, no longer was it about representation. For example, in classical ballet, there's a mime where you go like this and it means die, and you go like this and it means marry, and you go like this and it means love. So no longer was it about mimicry and miming or representing ideas. It became more about the embodiment of ideas. It was about feeling, and it was about humanness. It wasn't about like sylphs and fairies, Nutcracker or Sleeping Beauty ballets, that it became more about who is the person and what is the psychology of the person and how is that particularly embodied rather than it being outside the person. I think that we cannot look at contemporary dance without looking at indigenous forms of dance that both transcend time. When we think about traditional dances, it's like the same dance over thousands of years in many cases, with some changes, of course. And that those dances reveal truths about humanity and about humanness that are about community, connection, spirituality, and the earth. When we look to contemporary dance in the United States, they were also informed by indigenous forms of dance and those ideas that were embedded in indigenous forms of dance. So for example, if we look to Isadora Duncan, whose work was all about the earth and being connected to the earth and feeling and water, of course, you know, her demise was a fairly well-known one. And if you don't know how she died, it was pretty tragic. But her work was really about connection to spirituality and the earth. Ruth St. Denis, who's understood as an American modern dance pioneer, was inspired by what was then known as Oriental dances. She, along with other modern dance pioneers, and here is again Ruth St. Denis, who is a white woman dressed in particular Asian dress. These particular pioneers in modern dance co-opted indigenous movements, dress, and rhythms to create their techniques. So what we know as American modern dance forms were very much informed by indigenous cultures, ideas, rhythms, and sensibilities. This is Ruth St. Denis with her husband, Ted Shawn, who started a dance company called Dennis Shawn in the United States. And here they are, dancing in dress that is not their own. This is Martha Graham, too, who was inspired by Greek mythology. That was not her own. This is a Mediterranean folklore. I look to Catherine Dunham, who was a Black dancer, anthropologist, choreographer, and teacher who was trained in classical forms, ballet and modern dance, and went back to her own heritage and reclaimed her history and her culture to create her own dance form that was very much informed by the dances of the Caribbean and Haiti in particular. She codified her own dance technique called Dunham dance technique that was informed again by dance anthropology. It was very much researched, but was an amalgamation, was a mix of cultures and ideas that came from her own heritage. I also looked to Pearl Primus, who was a Black dancer and anthropologist who started her own company and choreographed for Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. We cannot look at contemporary dance, of course, without looking to my own heritage and the amalgamation of my own heritage. And when we think about contemporary dance, it's not only one thing. I think the field is still identifying what is contemporary, what does contemporary mean? And something that I think is exciting about that is that we get to identify what that is for us now in this moment. So Alvin Ailey started Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater in 1959 and choreographed his work Revelations, which I believe is one of the most one of the most danced contemporary dance works in the world. He also was inspired by his own heritage as a Southern Black person and was interested in bringing those ideas to the stage and to contemporary dance. Part of his lineage is Kyle Abraham in Motion. I studied with Kyle at the Ailey School and his works, The Radio Show, which is about Alzheimer's, and Pavement, which is about police violence, love, and pain. And lastly, I think it's important to mention, that's Kyle, Camille A. Brown, who also studied at the Ailey School, and who also looks to her own heritage to inform her aesthetic, her contemporary dance aesthetic, as well as her contemporary dance repertoire in her works Ink, Black Girl Linguistic Play, and Mr. Tolerance. Again, I look to my own heritage to identify your question, Feli, about what is contemporary dance, what is the history of contemporary dance. And I think that I invite listeners to take away that we don't know what contemporary dance is. And I think that's what's exciting about it. Again, we get to decide what it is. We are informed by history and what was given to us and colonial ideas about what contemporary dance is when we think about Ruth St. Denis and Ted Shawn and even Martha Graham. But again, I welcome all of us to think about how we can bring our own sensibilities and our own histories to reclaim movement and dance that is reflected of us now. That's what I'd like to share.
Thank you. It was so beautiful, Adam. Yeah. And I really like how the person in the picture, they seem to reconnected with their own maybe background to inform, or they research deeper into the history to inform their work. So it's really a accumulation, a combination of all such things, and so beautiful to incorporate history into the artwork and the work itself. So thank you. I learned a lot just by listening to you just now, and hopefully the audience too. So now I'll continue to Irninta. Irninta, what about the development and the change of contemporary dance in Indonesia itself? So let's please.
Yes, thank you, Felicia. And first of all, I would like to say thank you as well to At America for having me and for the opportunity. Okay, so I think contemporary dance, it's not easy to define contemporary dance, I think, because the contemporary itself, the word contemporary, I think it has a broad meaning. And it can be something current It can be something that we see today, and it can be. And I think for me personally, if I have to decide what contemporary is, I think it's about the renewal or the revival, the revival of something from the past, from the older traditions. And yeah, and thank you, Adam, for the explanation. I think it was also very insightful. And in Indonesia, I think the contemporary dance is very, very diverse because I think here we can find contemporary dance that derive from the Western tradition, which is ballet, and like Adam has said as well, and modern and jazz as well. And then, we can find contemporary dance that is rooted from Indonesian traditional dances. So I think from the beginning of the 20th century, more dancers and choreographers from abroad came to Indonesia to teach and to perform and to give dance workshops as well, and to collaborate with Indonesian dancers and choreographers. And I think one of the examples of the individuals who started to learn the Western tradition is the late founder of Namarina Dance Academy, Nani Lubis. She started to learn ballet, and I think she's the first, not the first, I mean, she's one of the pioneer that introduced Western tradition to Indonesians. And I think since then there are becoming more and more developed the art of dance in Indonesia. And the second one that I said as well, that we have contemporary dance that rooted in Indonesian traditional dances as well. And I think it would be good to know that Indonesia has so many islands, and we have more or less 17,000 of islands. We have hundreds of languages, and also we have so many ethnic cultures. We have thousands of local traditional dances. So and then choreographers and dancers are trying to expand those traditions to create new works. And can you imagine how diverse contemporary dance here in Indonesia? And I think that nowadays the trends for the contemporary dance in Indonesia, because of the influence of the Western traditions, I think dancers and choreographers are trying to incorporate the Western traditions and with Indonesian traditional dances and cultures as well. And I think that's really great because it can enrich us, it can broaden our knowledge as well, and that can contribute to enrich Indonesians' cultural life as well.
Thank you, Erninda. Yes, you're correct. You said that, you mentioned that we have 17,000 islands, and that's true. And each island has its own uniqueness that it brings to the more national culture. So it's really hard to pinpoint or like to pigeonhole what is contemporary. And I think you guys need to outline it. Okay, so Adam, Erninda, I'm going to take you back to 2008 when Adam went to Indonesia for, I believe it was 3 months. And in that time, you created a piece for Namarina Youth Dance. So Adam, I would like you to maybe explain a bit about the work. But before that, could Ernita maybe explain a little bit to the audience what is this collaboration between NYDs or Namarina Youth Dance with Adamaki?
Yes.
What is Namarina Youth Dance?
Yeah, I think before we go to our collaboration to discuss about the relationship, I think, do you mind if I share the video profile of Namarina Youth Dance? So maybe the audience, for some audience who have never heard of Namarina Youth Dance before, can know a little bit more about us.
Absolutely, yes. Wonderful. So yeah, Erninta.
Yeah. So
Boleh.
if I can add a little bit more about NYD. So NYD, or Namarina Youth Dance, is a semi-professional dance company under the artistic director Maya Tamara, who's here watching us now. Hi, Miss Maya. And yeah, Namarina Youth Dance was established in 2006 in accordance with the 50th anniversary of Namarina Dance Academy. We are rooted in ballet, but we are always trying to incorporate Indonesian traditional dances and culture into our works. And also we embrace diversity, as it mentioned in the video profile. We embrace all styles of dance, including contemporary as well. And currently we have 10 dancers and 10 apprentices, and we annually hold a season performance, dance performance, and in addition to our resident choreographers, we also occasionally invite guest choreographers from abroad and domestic as well, and one of them is here with us. It's Adam McKinney, we are so honored to be able to collaborate with him back in 2008, which was 12 years ago. Yeah. And yeah, he came to Indonesia and he created beautiful and mesmerizing works for Namarina Youth Dance third season performance called Pathways. Maybe Adam can share a little bit more about this work.
Thank you, Irminta. Yes, in 2008, when I was a guest at Namarina Youth Dance, I had an opportunity to teach classes and workshops and choreograph a piece called Pathways, which was very much informed by the dancers themselves. And we incorporated dancers' stories into the choreography. Again, when we think about what is contemporary dance, I think contemporary dance is us. And certainly that is one thing that Namarina Youth Dance does well. It is clear Namarina Youth Dance positions itself as a cultural leader in the arts in Indonesia and in the world, prioritizing persistence and diversity and collaboration and growth. And Pathways was very much representative of those ideas. Pathways was about the paths that we take in our experience of the world as people and the places where we feel isolated. So at the end, the dancers move off by themselves and one dancer is left. And it's both about the single story, but also the communal story. Also thinking about femininity and femaleness. As a choreographer, I'm very much cognizant of the fact that I am male and that I work with mainly female dancers and female bodies. And I often have to be thoughtful about what I ask of people, and female people in particular, coming from my male privilege and my male standpoint. And so my hope with Pathways in particular was to give dancers to make sure that dancers felt empowered to do their work and to choreograph for themselves. And so it was very much a collaboration, both in terms of like my maleness and their femaleness, but also my Americanness and their Indonesianness. And it was in 3 sections. Pathways was an emotional work. My goal with Pathways was to dig deep into our emotions. And when we think again about the history of contemporary dance, and not only is it about, no longer only is it about representation, but it really is about the embodiment of ideas and feelings. And that was my goal with Pathways. And I had an amazing time creating that work in 12 days together. And it was a really special moment for me.
Wow, thank you, Adam. Yes. And when I didn't see it live, but I saw many pictures and some of the videos actually on YouTube and on your channel as well. So maybe if any of the audience wants to see, you can go to Adam's McKinney YouTube and see the snippets of it. Because no, I don't think it's the full length of the dance yet of the works. Yeah. So maybe Rinta can show the picture. So
Yeah. I have 3 pictures. So this is the first one.
Yes, this is from the first section.
I love the costumes and I love the canon part. I think it got me thinking into the choreography. It made me reflect. I didn't dance this piece though. I was an observer. And
that was from the first section, and the music was Mexican guitar. And I think Miss Maya's son plays the guitar, and I enjoyed having that conversation. Yeah, I remember this.
And
beautiful.
One more. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Special,
beautiful.
special time.
Yes, and even though the costume is not like a grand costume, I mean, the color is so earthy and the embellishment is so minimal. But I think, as you said, as it's about emotion, that's what you take deeper into the picture. As well, I wish I saw it back in 2008, but I wasn't there.
Well,
Okay.
perhaps there can be a Pathways 2.0.
Ah,
Yes,
yes,
please.
and maybe you can choreograph virtually for us. I mean, you can teach it virtually for us.
Yes, that's that, and when we think about COVID-19 and how dance is changing during this particular period, we were chatting before 7 p.m. came upon us, and I was sharing with Irminta and Felicia about a new dance work that I'm creating for a company that is 30 miles from where I am, not very far at all. And I will create that work via Zoom. As a teacher, I have been teaching all of my ballet and modern classes via Zoom as well. The dancers are in the studios with masks, and I am providing feedback via this technological format. It is not easy. It's quite difficult to try to teach a dance class on Zoom. But I think it also, it provides opportunities for dancers to take responsibility for their work, that the feedback isn't coming from outside. I'm not able to move an arm in a particular way or to move a head, that they have to make that happen for themselves. And, I was talking about the history of contemporary dance and the rigidity of classical ballet, the traditional rigidity. It might not be that way for everywhere and for everyone. And the hierarchy of classical ballet, that the teacher knows everything and that the student knows nothing. That is traditional. And again, it's not true everywhere necessarily. But I think that in this Zoom format, it's like dancers actually have to rely on the things that they do know to inform how they're going to move forward in terms of dance education in this format. And so like as an artist, if I may, I have two works that are video work. So I am transferring most of my live work to video work. And I'm in the process of creating a dance hologram. So because I can't be there in person, I am creating a hologram to almost transport my body across space to another, maybe 2,000 miles away, quite far across the United States, to make that happen. So like as artists, we're having to use our creative problem solving skills to figure out how to make contemporary dance continue in the times of COVID.
Yes, Adam. Yes, of course. And you mentioned really like many interesting points out there, like how you teach on Zoom and how, well, I am a student as well. And I feel like, you just said what was in my head. Like I need to rely on my knowledge in order to move forward, because I mean, the teacher must supervise many students, and I don't think every student can get the same amount of correction. Well, it will take like hours to do class online. And then the second one that you said, that you're going to have like a hologram of you, and I mean, I imagine the hologram must be dancing because you're a dancer, not just standing. So, I mean, out of a time like this, emerges like new cool ideas that maybe we didn't think before. And so you actually just answered a question that I was going to ask you. So that was amazing. You took my part. So now maybe I'll ask Irninda about, like, with this situation, Irninda, how is the dance industry affected, and what do they have to do in order to survive in Indonesia?
Yeah, I think this pandemic has affected the dance industry a lot, as you know, as we can see now that performances are being canceled, dance classes are being canceled, and freelance dancers lose their job, and we are forced to work and do everything online, and with limited space and with hard floor, and we are forced to rethink and replan our activities, our program. But yeah, if we only look at the negative sides, I think it will only make it worse. So I think we also need to see the positive sides of the situation. I think this pandemic is actually can open up our mind also to I feel like this pandemic, what it seems, what at first I think it's impossible to do, what we first think it's impossible to do can actually be possible. For example, like to teach through the screen, to practice or to rehearse through the screen. I think now it's actually possible, even though we cannot really touch the people, but I think it's possible to do. Yeah, I think it's really opened up our mind as well, and also we can also be more connected to people wherever we are, like for like this platform. I think, yeah, from Indonesia or from America, we can be more connected actually. So yeah, I think we also need to find the silver lining from this situation.
Yes, yes. Ah, that's super true. Okay, so yes, Adam.
If I might just respond, Irnita, I'm thinking about one of the reasons I love being an artist is that it reminds us that we are connected as human beings. Zoom and technology are art. That we would not be able to move through this pandemic without art, without technology. That technology in many ways is allowing us to continue to move forward as societies in terms of work and business and development. And that would not be possible if it weren't for art. And so, you know, I am a proponent, I am a supporter of the arts as an artist, and just want all of us to continue to remember the importance of the arts in society and to continue to support the arts in whatever way that means. If it means taking a Zoom dance class with Namarina Youth Dance, or to continue to support this platform, that the arts are really, really important. And it is what is continuing to get us through this very troubled moment in history. Everyone is affected, and everyone can be influenced and already is influenced by the arts. So thank you, Irminta, for reminding me of this notion around arts and connection.
Yes. And can I also add something, Felicia? Yeah, I agree with you that I think the role of arts, it's not merely for entertainment. I think it can also be a tool to push or to go beyond the boundaries. It can also increase your creativity, increase your imagination, and yeah, to broaden up knowledge as well. So I guess, yeah.
Yes.
If I may, I heard the language the arts can, and I'd just like to offer a response that the arts already do that. that this is what the arts do. It expands our knowledge. Practicing the arts expands our persistence, right? So absolutely yes, 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 and more, and yes, and let's do more together as artists. Yes, yes.
Absolutely. Wow, that was a really engaging discussion by you two. I really appreciate that. I mean, I am the host, but I enjoyed it just as much as the audience, I believe. So you were talking about like how they maybe the technology as the medium expands what we can do as an artist. Hologram, now we can teach remotely, now we can connect. And I mean, virtual performances and dance movies or dance films are blooming everywhere. So today, I think Irminda is actually the day when we are going to premiere our first dance film. So would you like to share a little bit before we begin the video?
Yes, thank you, Felicia. I'm so excited to share NYD Namarina Youth Dance first ever dance film. It's called it's called Silver Lining, and this works specially made for this event, supported by At America. So thank you. And I think this works is about it's similar to what we've talked about before. It's about how the pandemic has affected us and how we feel, how we respond to this pandemic. So we are trying to find the silver lining, to find the positive sides of this bad or uncertain situation, extraordinary situation. Yeah. So yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. So here it is.
So, Erninda.
Yeah. What happened?
Maybe after this we can continue, but a little bit about the background of the video.
Yeah, okay. So, if I can add more explanation to the concept of the video, I think one of the silver lining of this pandemic, as I already said before, is that we can be more connected to other people, to other community through technology. And so the long fabrics that dancer use symbolizes the connection. And for the production, yeah, we have 3 dancers who participated, and one of them is here. It's you, Felicia, Felicia Harinya. And the other 2 are Irina Putri Sudarsono and Kshanti Aisyah Kendana. It is choreographed by me and Andini Rosawiranti. And yeah, we collaborate to create this work. It was such a great experience. And for the video, we collaborate with Listen to the World. So Listen to the World is one of our partner. And for the music, we are so fortunate to be able to collaborate with Rakudas and Gado-Gado Ensemble. So they are currently composing music based on 5 elements of Buddhism. And we chose 2 of the songs. So the 5 elements of Buddhism is water, fire, earth, void, and wind. And we chose the earth and the fire songs because I think those 2 songs represent or suits the concept of the video. So yeah. Okay, can we try to replay the video? I think the end is kind of cut, right?
Yes, I think the end is kind of cut. But maybe if we cannot, then Erninda, you mentioned about
Yay!
So yeah, we had a little bit of trouble
Yeah.
hearing you before that, but that was it. That was, I believe it was 6 minutes long, a short dance film, Irninta.
Yes. I think, and we will publish this video into our social media and our YouTube account. So if the audience wants to see again, they can.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, before we played for the second time, I was about to say that you mentioned that we collaborate with Gado Gado and Sambal. Yeah. And I mean, as a dancer, before we begin the what do you call it, the filming, the musician himself explained it to us like this music is about fire, so please give it to the audience and give it to me, give it to the videographer. So so then when I see the end the result, like the end video, it looked like okay, now I understand why he wanted us to like really show the fire within us.
Yes. And also, I think it's coincidence with the venue, the tennis court. I think because we shoot the video in the middle of the day, so it was really hot. So the dancers, I think I would like to thank the dancers because of their hard work. Yeah, so they kind of dance again and again on top of the hot floor. Yeah, the tennis court. It was amazing. Thank you, Felicia, and other dancers, Irina and Shanti.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Adam, currently you also have a dance film called Unfolding History being exhibited, and I believe it is available to watch online via YouTube as well. So if anyone would like to see, you can look up Unfolding History, Adam McKinney. Right, Adam?
Yes, that's correct. I was commissioned by Mid America Arts Alliance in Kansas City, Missouri, USA, to create a dance film that was part of my ongoing research into the history of anti-Black, anti-African American racial violence. And when we think about that history of lynching in particular and racial terror lynchings, we can also make the connections to how that idea and practice continues against Black people in the United States. And so I created this work called Unfolding History for Mid-America Arts Alliance in Kansas City, Missouri, USA, that looks back to history and the racial terror lynching of a man where I live in 1921. His name was Mr. Fred Rouse. And so I perform as Mr. Fred Rouse in those sites of trauma, and this dance film tells that story.
Yeah, and the dance film is a bit longer than the one they just showed to us. I think it is 9 minutes long. So yeah, so if you want the audience, if you want to see it, you can just tap it out. Unfolding History, Adam McKinney, and be yourself educated by it. Enjoy that. Okay, so we are coming to the last question from me though, because I can see the audience are typing. In your opinion, how is the future of contemporary dance, both in the US and in Indonesia? And I don't mind if Irinda would like to answer first, or Adam. It's for you guys.
Okay, can I answer first? Okay, thank you for the question, Felicia. I think for the future, even though we can, I'm sorry, for the future, I think that since we started to get used to technology, since we are get used to teach through the screen and also to practice through the screen, even though it feels very different than if we can go to the studio, we cannot really grab the energy from the people in the studio. But I think for the future, I think the online session and the offline session can go hand in hand, can go simultaneously, because I think those two have their own strengths and weaknesses. And also, I think for the future, collective approach is also important. I think that, I mean, for example, the integration of arts, the dance, the music, the film, and visual, I think could be really good to create something new, to open up our mind, to broaden our knowledge through arts. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Adam.
I agree, Irninta. I think the edges will start blurring a little bit.
Yes.
That no longer will one only be able to be a ballet dancer, that one will have to be able to do traditional dances and indigenous dances and folk dances and ballet and contemporary dance and modern. That again, I think contemporary dance, and I'll speak specifically as a dancer because that's where I locate myself, is about us. And because of what technology is offering us, we have more access to each other. I can take a dance class at Namarina Youth Dance, and then I can take a dance class at the Alvin Ailey School, and then I can take a dance class at Miami City Ballet School. That access to each other is becoming more and more available. And so I'm thinking about those implications. What now will happen if we have all of these different influences, and how will that continue to inform the blurring of those edges, as well as the aesthetic nature of what contemporary dance will be? And that also is why I'm inspired by the work of Namarina Youth Dance, that creates opportunities to think about that amalgamation of what dance is and can be.
Wonderful. Okay, so that is it from me. But as I said, we have a few questions from our viewers. So let us continue with answering questions from the audience. And thank you for all of them who wrote on the comment section, on YouTube, on Instagram, and all of the At America social media accounts. So we have a question. It's actually a joint question by Tri Prasetya Ningtyas and Denti Budiono on YouTube. The question is, how do you deal with elements of traditional dances that are considered sacred? And how would that limit, or how would that inform the way we create contemporary pieces? So Yaninda, Adam, it's open to you.
Okay. I think, from my opinion, the elements of traditional dances, I think we don't have to use the dance form, but I think we can also use the essence or the values from the traditional dances to create and to expand the tradition. And I think that for the second part, how would that limit or inform the way we create contemporary pieces? I think it can even enrich us more to create new and innovative works, I think. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, of course. So Adam, what would you say?
This is a really important question. I'm thinking about when I went to Bali before I arrived in Jakarta, and I went and saw some dance performances there, and it was clear to me that these dances were informed by traditional dances, some of which may have been sacred, but what was shared with the public, and particularly Americans who came to Bali on holiday, was not what was shared with our communities and with our families, and the things that we do internally and how that is different from the things that we do externally. I'm thinking of Catherine Dunham, who I spoke about earlier this evening, who was inspired by the dances of Haiti and dances of Vodun, also known as voodoo. They use that term voodoo around the world, but I don't know that that is actually accurate. Vodun. Again, there are things that are only offered in sacred contexts, and then there are things that are offered more publicly. I'm thinking about the importance of contemporary dance, again, that it's not about representation, but it's about feeling first. And I wonder if we can think about some of the emotional ideas, specifically, like how does sacred dance make us feel, rather than performing those exact sacred dances? And then how can that inform some of the contemporary aesthetic natures of the choreographic vocabularies, so that it's not exact, but that the experience of the sacred nature of dances informs what is created in terms of the choreographic lexicon or choreographic vocabularies.
Yeah, so wow, yeah, wonderful. And I think that was a really great question. So thank you, Tripasatanning Des and Danti for that question. And we have a comment from Gado Gado and Sambal, and I believe this is when you said that someone from Namarina played the guitar for your Pathways creation, and he said that Adam, Gado Gado would love to write a guitar-driven music, especially for you to choreograph. The piece with NYD was brilliant. Yeah.
Okay, so Pathways 2.0, we're already starting the process. We have music. All right, we're ready to go.
You're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready. So excited.
So last question from Jay Tanjo. Question is for Adam. During the lockdown, we can see artists stand in solidarity by giving free classes and performances, for example. How sustainable do you think this evolution is?
That's a great question. Currently, the United States is in a recession. That what the pandemic has offered is we're struggling financially as a country, and that is not unlike other countries around the world. The United States has surpassed 200,000 deaths because of COVID-19. So I'm thinking about sustainability, just the word in and of itself, and also sustainability in terms of offering free classes. Personally, I don't think that this is sustainable over a long period of time, that dancers too and artists are struggling to sustain themselves. And I also think about those areas that in the United States in particular, that are not struggling as artists are, and the type of support that can be offered to artists during this time. I'm thinking about foundations and nonprofit organizations that are funding artists in this time. And I would love to continue to think about what it would mean to support those creative artists who are offering those free classes and how to make that sustainable, and to develop a business plan and structure to ensure that dance classes and performances can be made more accessible to people, and also particularly to those people who don't have the internet. And what does that mean? Because the internet too is a particular privilege and comes with a particular status. So I'm also thinking about those implications in terms of class and access. And is there a silver lining there as well in terms of the sustainability of those offerings?
Wonderful. Okay, so, well, we've got only like 3 questions, but those are, 2, and 1 is an opinion. Those 2 are like really massive, and it really reflects what we wanted to do and we've been doing. So, right, okay. Another participation by our lovely audience is that they joined NYD and at America Dance Video Challenge on Instagram. And oh boy, the team had a hard time choosing 3 winners out of almost, I believe like 60 submissions. So thank you for all the dancers from Indonesia and abroad as well. And now we're going to show you the 3 winners. So let us enjoy our 3 winners from the dance challenge. So wow. So the first one, as I said, is Ramania Shafitri. The second one, we had Clara Nesha from Kalara Ballet School in Bandung, another big city in Indonesia. And the last one, I was mesmerized by her, is Chan Elizabeth. Really awesome. What do you think, Irninta?
They're all very good. Yeah. We had a hard time to choose because I think the other participants are also very good as well. Yeah, so congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations. I can see that you were smiling, Adam, when we were watching. What do you think?
Yeah, I am moved to tears. I am so moved emotionally by the performances. I'll speak to them individually, but I'll also just share this main idea that we must dance. And I think that's what came forward for me, is that independent of the space in which we can locate for ourselves, that the urge to move is one that is natural, that we as humans are built for movement, and that it is directly connected to our emotions. And that is one thing that also came forward, was the emotional nature, the way the dancers turned and looked, and I could feel the yearning for movement, again, independent of the spaces in which we find ourselves. The first piece was so beautiful. I was inspired by the sun and the glare that it created on the lens. And it felt like the dancer was in between the sun and the glare, and creating this beautiful three-dimensionality that was so gorgeous. Of course, she's a beautiful dancer as well, and that also informed the success of the work. The second dancer, I was inspired by the lusciousness, the connectedness of her movements, that it was one idea. It was like the silver lining material, that there was no beginning and that there was no end, and it was like the circle in which she was finding herself. And the last dancer too was just so incredibly connected to her emotions. And for this particular dancer, I was moved by the fact that she created her own movement, that there seemed to be a vocabulary that was offered, and then she created her own story and her own vocabulary that was so inspiring and so beautiful and so amazing. So congratulations to all of these winners, and to Namarina Youth Dance in selecting the winners of this challenge.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ernita. Thank you, Adam. And as I said, I mean, we had a hard time choosing 3 winners. So, Namarina Youth Dance has excitedly selected a few more favorites that you can watch on our Instagram at Namarina Youth Dance. When you said that, like the movement is so connected, and I just remembered in our studio in Namarina on the 3rd floor, there's this quote on, I think, the left side of the studio, and it says, "Nothing more honest than movement." And when you were talking about how the dancers, when you're describing the dancers, I was like, wow, I just remembered that quote that we have in the studio. So yes, that's true. I mean, they were themselves when they were dancing. So I think that's why we were so touched by them.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I think as dancers, because we are our bodies are our artistic instruments. Our bodies are the canvas in which we create art, that we cannot hide, that our work is automatically honest, because there's nothing behind which we can hide, that we are open and must remain open. And I think that is why dance in particular not only has to be honest, but is also seen as a threat in some way. And certainly in the United States and in the United States culture, how dance is not necessarily supported by the government in the ways that other arts are, that dance can be seen as threatening. And I think that is because we express ourselves through our bodies. that honesty, again, is central to our emotional states, it's central to our physical states and our intellectual states. And I am, dance for me is the way that I understand the world, that I think without dance, I wouldn't be the person that I am, and I wouldn't be able to do the work that I am doing around social justice, around education, in the same ways that I would be doing them if I didn't have dance as the lens through which I see the world.
Wonderful, that was beautiful. So congratulations again to our winners. And it was such a nice closing to our discussion tonight. Their 3 performances were such a nice closing. I really enjoyed our discussion. As I said in the beginning, it is my honor to be your host and moderator, Erninda and Adam McKinney. Well, it didn't feel like an hour and 20 minutes, but it is an hour and 20 minutes, and we have to wrap it up. And yes, so thank you, Adam, again, and Erninda again. We are very lucky to hear different opinions and stories from different part of the world, but within the same subject. It is really dear to us.
Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. So everyone, don't forget to follow all of At America's social media to know the latest events, shows, or talks. And also follow Adam McKinney and his art organization on Instagram. It's called DNA Works Arts, I believe. Stay updated on Adam's beautiful work. And lastly, also follow Namarina's Instagram and NYD as well. Because Erninda, I believe we will have a virtual performance.
Yes, we're currently working on a new project, so stay tuned.
Yes, absolutely. So, Erninda and Adam, stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully we'll always be connected to what we love. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you very much to our speakers and also our moderator tonight. There was a very great discussion, and we'd love to see you guys again. You got an icebreaker question, and that question was, true or false, Indonesia's Saman dance is not on UNESCO's heritage? And the correct answer is false. The Saman dance and a few other traditional dances are on UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage tonight, but don't worry if you would like to participate. Start over, so stay tuned on our straight to our website at www.atamerica.or.id. Click Create Event and collaborate with us and submit your proposal there. All proposals might just end up here very soon. And while you're on our website, don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter so you can receive information about our upcoming events sent straight to your inbox. Well, thank you very much everyone for tuning in. It has been fun, and we hope to see you again at the next At America TV event. Goodbye, everybody.